Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
Good. I think you're excited because the weekend is imminent. Huh? Last time we had a nice debate in this class, and I think most of you watched like the video to see yourself debating, and some of you were gratified, others were embarrassed, I don't know. But let's see somebody who's going to report, somebody who watched, like was not attendant, who did not attend the class, but like watched the video at home. I don't know how she received it. Let's see. Good.
Before talking about my last lecture, I want to say that I really like my friends' reports, especially the poetic one, which I don't have the skill to write on. Coming back to the lecture, I like the doctor method in dividing us into groups supporting two different attitudes. If I were in the class, I will not be in any part. I will be in the middle side. I am with a poet, and at the same time I am against him. Because with the...
So you are ambivalent?
Yes.
Ambivalent, you know?
Going with he went here to going with him, and living with him in the lovely, peaceful atmosphere, without any problems, without complaining from anything. On the contrary, this is away from our Islamic perspective at the same time and culture, and there is no life without problems. I would like to say that the poet's idealism destroyed his message. In other words, this idealism prevents him from delivering his message.
Good, thank you very much. Okay, good. And we need to listen to another report. I think you reported last time? Yeah. Okay, good, go ahead. I'm sorry, I know like there are wonderful reports, but we cannot give a chance to everybody, you know.
The last lecture was very distinguished one. It had a special flavor.
You come here.
First, we began with a new poem called To His Love for Christopher Marlowe. Dr. Habib started to ask us about the poem and its theme. The lecture was full of interaction and participation. Then Dr. Habib suggested to make a new practical activity, a debate. We made a wonderful debate talking about the atmosphere of the poem To His Love. At last, the lecture ended and we separated to attend the other classes.
Good. Thank you. Now, what's wrong with this computer? Good. Let's see. Today we are going to see the aesthetics of the poem. You know, the elements of beauty. Let's say, have you read the poem aloud? Yes. Okay. How did you feel when you read it aloud? I don't know how you read it. How did it sound when you read it aloud? Was it poetic?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
In what sense? Like, when you read it aloud, did it like amuse you in a sense or not? Were you amused or you were not? Yes, let's see.
Because I feel as if I'm hearing the sounds he speaks about, the birds and the smells and the movement and the nature.
So you want to say that you were impressed by the images itself, the images. I don't know. Can somebody like get it? Okay, just Google and the poem. Good. So you like the images? I think, you know, this is very significant because we are dealing with a kind of poetry which is called, you know, or which is written in an Ovid fashion. And when I say Ovid was like a Roman poet, you know, for him, he believed in this doctrine that, you know, poetry is, you know, painting, you know, and painting is silent poetry. So painting is speaking poetry, and poetry is silent painting. Good. This is like what we see in the poem, like we see an image. Yes, you are right. Like the poet succeeded in appealing to our senses, and in a sense, when we read the poem, we enacted, like we succeeded to see in front of our eyes, like the trees, the birds, we listened to this, and perhaps that was the beauty of the poem. Okay, other than this, what did you enjoy while reading? Yes, please.
When I read the poem, I imagined the whole picture that the poet tries to tell us about it, or to draw it to us. And when I read it for the first time, I felt unhappiness because of the sight of beauty inside the poem.
Okay, so you were impressed by the beauty. Good. Any other like source of fascination? Why are you fascinated with the poem? It's because of its images. It's because of the beauty there. You know, what else?
The simple language of it.
The simple language. You like its simplicity. So what do you think? This simplicity, you know, why is he writing in simple language?
To understand.
To make us understand. Because, you know, let's say, suppose he wrote his poem in a cryptic manner, like the lady would not respond. Okay, good. So yes, it is very simple.
Maybe also because he's talking about nature and going to the nature side and countryside. So everything there is simple.
Yeah,
so
because he's talking about pastoral life, and in pastoral life, we expect that everything is simple. So you know, the simplicity of the style has to do with the poem. Good. Thank you. Yes.
The rhyme is very fantastic because I feel as if I connect one with other.
So the rhyme has this continuity, you know. Very good. The rhyme sometimes, like it is masculine rhyme, sometimes it is feminine rhyme, you know. And so, like, do you want to say that the poem was musical? Did you feel like music? Have you tried to read it as if it were a song? Come live with me and be, you know. Have you tried like that? Why? Because it tends itself to music, you know. Come live with me and, you know. It's very musical. And we all the pleasures prove, and, you know, it goes, if you want, I'm sure you can sing it easily. So yes, this poem is musical. Now let's see, do you like it for other reasons other than this? Okay. Now I think I like it because of, yes?
He used the simple language to convey his message as the simplicity of the nature that he wanted to live and stay on it. So he used the simple language and the simplicity of the nature. That
Yes, so he wanted like to match between the message and the style. This is what he wanted to say. Good. I think, yes, come live with me. It's like, you know, everyday language. Come live with me and be my love. I know this is very disturbing, but perhaps, you know, like if you remember last time when you were debating, some thought that, you know, to his love in the Elizabethan time, it means to his wife. And we have a poem for Spencer when he, you know, wrote one day, I wrote her name upon the strand. So, and here again in the poem, we have an indication, you know, of this, you know, chastity. Because, you know, the image of myrtle in Greek mythology has to do with virginity. So he's talking about very formal matrimony, you know. He's proposing to her formally. Later we'll see the myrtle has to do with virginity. The myrtle has to do with formal marriage proposal. So again, this would, you know, like not rob, or this would convince us that, you know, Marlowe is not bohemian. Marlowe is not a poet who's like just going to enjoy his life. No, he is very serious, very serious. But there are other reasons. Now, come live with me and be my love. I don't know, how would you read it? Suppose you make a scansion. So how would you read? come, I don't know, come, live. Is it like this? Come, live, come live, come live, come live with me. Huh? Or, I don't know, come live. It could be come live, because this is what is happening at the poem. I think the poem, you know, come live with me and be my love. It goes like this. Come live with me and be my love. So right from the very beginning, it is, you know, the choice is the iambic tetrameter, which is very, iambic tetrameter. We have 4 stresses, you know, 4 syllables, 1 stressed, you know, 1 unstressed and stressed. Okay, come live with me and be my love. So we are talking about 8 syllables, and we said that the iambic is very musical. I don't want to take you to the meter now, but let's see the poem. What is he saying in the poem? And we all the pleasures prove that hills and valleys, dale and field, and all the craggy mountains yield. You know, these consonants are disturbing, you know. I don't know, because here it should be more musical, but he's using craggy mountains, you know. Craggy mountains, the K or this, you know, sound, the K sound has to do with, you know, like a sense of difficulty. But this sense of difficulty, as you see, it is cancelled when, you know, with the verb, yield itself. Like everything is going to be made smooth. Everything, every obstacle will be surpassed. So here, right from the very beginning, the invitation, you know, is like, we all the pleasures prove. We are going to enjoy ourselves in the countryside. And we will all the pleasures prove. Look here at, you know, the syntactical choice of the word will. The verb will, you know, it's what? We use it to express what? Future and promise, you know. Because here, now, this poem is full of persuasion. You know, it has a persuasive style. Now, because, and, you know, persuasion is an art of marketing. If you remember last time in the debate, I wanted, like, you know, either team to persuade the other, like about, like, you know, going or not going. That hills and valleys, dale and field, and all the craggy mountains yield. Okay, there will we sit upon the rocks. You know, like this inversion in a grammar, you know, there is inversion there because it's a place. Usually it doesn't happen like this. There we will sit. But, you know, here he's making inversion, he's deviating from grammatical rule, and he's taking there as, you know, like, you know, as a prepositional phrase that, you know, which is not, which indicates a place, for example, beyond the mountain or beyond the mountain lies the house. So this is possible in grammar, or this is what happens in grammar. At the corner of the street stands the policeman. Okay. There we will sit upon the rocks, we. Now, he's not talking about himself. We, as if she agreed. And see the shepherds feed their flocks. Very musical, rocks and flocks. By shallow rivers to whose folds melodious birds sing madrigals. Well, it's like here, as you see, folds and madrigals. Like he's using here. What is the rhyme? The rhyme. As you see, love and prove, field and you know, the rhyme is what we call heroic couplet. Heroic couplet. And you know, like what is heroic couplet? This is, you know, a rhyme which is, you know, commonly known in English poetry called heroic couplet. By shallow rivers to whose folds melodious birds sing madrigals. Like madrigals, songs. So again here, like when you read these, you feel the images, the kinetic, the visual, the sound images here. Okay. There we will sit upon the rocks and see the shepherds feed their flocks. Look here. They're not going to fret. They're going just to watch. It's very simple life, isn't it? Imagine yourself, you are not doing anything. I think some people, you like this? Come on. Very lazy, you know. I don't know, I wouldn't imagine myself just sitting, you know, on the rocks and watching the falls. I saw some of these falls and then listening to the birds forever. So after 1 hour, I might like, yeah, for a short time it's okay. Yeah, not for a while it's okay, no problem. There will I make thee beds of roses. Look here, the poet is trying to entice, you know, the lady. You know what's mean entice? To tempt the lady. And of course, here we see like roses, posies, kirtle. All these images have to do with, you know, they are romantic images. You know, the rose, it has romantic connotation. I mean, the posies itself, you know, they have these romantic connotations. There will I make thee beds of roses. It's a promise. Very enticing. And 1,000 of fragrant houses. Look here, roses and posies, it's not like fall and madrigal. So here, because of the rhyme, because to keep the music, he's using feminine rhyme. So one time he's using masculine, and another time he's using feminine. Roses and posies. There will I make thee beds of roses. Will I make? The shepherd is promising to make. And 1,000 fragrant posies. Wow. A cup of flowers and a curtain. What is a curtain? A cup of flowers and a curtain. Yeah, and? Yeah, it's like a skirt, a curtain embroidered with leaves of myrtle. Embroidered, like the embroidery. Now we, the Palestinians, are famous for embroidery. I don't know, like where he got this image of, you know, because as we said, you know, those poets, you know, were Renaissance poets, and they were influenced by, you know, the medieval time, by the Arab, you know, civilization. So, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cup of flowers, and a curtain embroidered with leaves of myrtle. You know, as I said, myrtle in Greek mythology, it has to do with virginity. So this would refute all those who would, you know, like assume that Marlowe was like, you know, just calling for illegal relationship, you know, because, you know, as we said, in Greek mythology, myrtle has to do with chastity. You know what's mean chastity? Yeah. Chastity, like chastity and the purity. Look here, like in each stanza, he is like giving promises. So this poem is full of promises. Why? Because he wants like to convince her, and it seems like the lady is adamant. You know, she's reluctant. This is what we. And she's not talking at all. Is she talking at all? No. Is he giving her a voice? No. A gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull. You know, I don't know. This, yeah. Pardon? Yeah, no, he's talking about the pull. I mean, the wool, which we pull. I mean, take it. But I think, you know, very good. It's not like skinning. We're not talking about skinning. Like we're talking about like the wool which is taken. And this shows how England in the Elizabethan times, you know, started to assume, you know, very, you know, interesting, very, you know, rich industrial image, because during the Elizabethan and after the Elizabethan, England became the workshop or a factory for the best wool, and it is like up till now England is known or is famous for its wool industry. So here, as you see, like, but who's going to do that? Who's going to pull? Who's going to make the bed of roses? Do you think making the bed of roses is like an easy thing? No. Do you think pulling and processing, the wool is an easy thing?
No.
So I think, here we understand like there is, life is difficult, and it seems like, these images do not help the poet, because the assumption is that countryside is a rustic, is ideal, idyllic, like it's equivalent to rustic. It's idle life where you can do nothing. A gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull. Our pretty lambs. Like this is, the spirit of nationalism. Our lamb. He's talking about himself as an English, as a shepherd, about an English shepherd. So, pastoral poetry, which is general, but we have regional interest here, which is our lamb, which from our pretty lambs we pull. So wool and pull, look at this. It has to do with the action itself. Pull because it needs some movement. Pull. Fair-lined slippers for the cold. Fair-lined slippers. These are feminine things like fair-lined slippers. It's an image of how, like the slippers, are not with thick lines, but they are fair lines glowing like this, and everything, as you see, is artificial. And this is what is happening in the pastoral poetry, with buckles of the purest gold. Buckles, they buckle something which closes the slippers and makes it tight. I think he's becoming more convincing. A belt of straw and ivy buds. A belt of straw. So what does this mean? Do you think this is like cheap, expensive, or do you think this is a belt of straw? I think sometimes we have the tendency for something natural. I think when you go, you find yourself instinctively inclined like to buy something which is rustic. But nowadays we have leather. Nobody is interested in straw, because nobody wants to be like to live a fairy life, Okay. A belt of straw and ivy buds with coral clasp and amber studs. Look at the images, how they are lovely. A belt of straw and ivy buds, ivory. Again, all these things are natural, with coral clasp and amber studs. Amber studs, we're talking about like, gems, like very precious stones. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. So again, why he's saying and if? What do you think he's saying and if? He's not sure. Yeah, you're right. He's not sure. He still thinks that the lady is reluctant, is unwilling. So he is just like this, giving a promise after a promise and try to test, if she would come or not. But we see or we understand that she is not. Thy silver dishes for thy meat, as precious as the gods do eat. Okay? This is very enticing for lazy, people who want everything to be like, last year I asked what would, the most enticing thing in this poem, and like they said, okay, I like, this idea of having the meat coming to me without cooking, without going to all this process of cooking. Yes, thy silver dishes for thy meat, as precious as the gods do eat. So she's going to have eternal life. Like, look at the simile here. You know, she will be like a goddess. A goddess. Shall on an ivory table be prepared each day for thee and me. Prepared. Like, what is like the, you know, here, look here, you see the aspect of the verb. What is the aspect? Is it active or passive? Passive. What does this mean?
We don't know who's going to do.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know who's going to do that. But we know that everything will be, they will be like doing nothing. Just like, yes, they will be idle. They will do nothing. Everything will be prepared for them. So the passive, you know, shows that the life there, you know, is going to be without, you know, work, without hard work. Prepared each day for thee and me. I don't know why he's saying not for us. He's still like he's not sure. Okay. The shepherd's swain. Of course, during that time, they had no television, they had no satellite, you know, nothing. So they had what? I mean, in the countryside, this is how they would spend their evening. Thy shepherd's swains shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. Look at me, morning. It's, again, it's very musical. For thy delight each May morning, you know. And the stress here, you know, it even there is small variation, so it is stressed. If these delights, thy mind may move, still he is not sure. Then live with me and be my love. Then live with me and be my love. I think here, you know, then live with me and be my love. He's changing the iambic tetrameter. Then live, so it is becoming trochee. Then live with me, you know, here. Then live, two stresses, and then iambic pentameter. So he's using trochee and then iambic pentameter. And I think, you know, here, just to alert her, hey, you come, then live with me, you know. He's impatient with her not responding to him, you know. As you see, the poem is not full of, you know, static elements, figures of speech, you know. So the poet here, you know, encoded his message in a symbol, in a very musical. He was careful for the rhyme and the rhythm in order, like, to prepare. But you see, what makes the poem very beautiful, it's genre, which is pastoral life. You know, it's music, it's images, because this poem is full of imagery. I don't know, I noticed in your debate, or like, if you remember in the debate last time, because we want to go to the critique of the poem, like, somebody complained that Marlowe was inviting a lady to go to a land which is not his own land, you know, and that was a complaint, legitimate complaint, because you know, this type of literature, which is pastoral poetry, in fact, it was, you know, like to fit or to, you know, to appeal to the courtly life, but at the same time, this was part of, you know, an immersion discourse in the Elizabethan time, and even before the Elizabethan time. It is an extension to Thomas More, the Utopia. You know, the Utopia, like, they were thinking of the ideal, the imaginative world. So the Elizabethan, and even before the Elizabethan, they kept, you know, speculating, conjecturing about a new word, a word full of, you know, pleasure, a word full of joy, a word. And they continued, like, doing like this, writing pastoral poetry. Sidney wrote pastoral poetry. Also Shakespeare wrote, some narrative which is full of pastoral. Even in The Tempest, he was conjecturing about the encounter between the English people and the indigenous people. I mean, the indigenous people of this imaginary world. See what I mean? So this was, you could say, this was part of the promotional literature. Nowadays, if you want, imagine in 10 years' time, they will succeed to discover that there is life on Mars, for example. So I think, TV media will start promoting for that. So this, you could classify this was kind of promotional literature, promotional poetry. It was a poetry which promoted going, encouraging people to go. So it is more than pastoral if you want to talk about the theme itself. Some say the theme, it could be about what? Idyllic life, a natural, simple life, in contrast with the complicated city life. Other people would take it, they say, this poem is part of the colonial discourse, which was prevalent, in the Elizabethan time. They wanted, all the time they spoke about this imaginative word, and at the end of the day, that imaginative word turned out to be the new word, which is America.
Yeah.
And some critics said, if America had not been discovered, it would have been invented, because it was the occupation, the worry, the concern of those Elizabethan. As you see, the poem is lovely, isn't it? Very simple and beautiful. Some of you wanted to rob the poem its beauty last time by parodizing, and I didn't want to give you a rally before you take this one, because I want you later to see how Raleigh brought the lady, to respond to him. Okay, I'll just give you now perhaps 10 minutes, what is the remaining part of the lecture, to write a paragraph about the theme of the poem. The theme. And, just a paragraph to write about the theme and try to support this theme by whatever images we have. Okay, you can work in pairs or you can work individually. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see a student who succeeded in, writing a small paragraph about the theme. Yes, please. Did you work alone or with somebody?
No, alone.
Okay, good.
Poem can be about pastoral life, where the poet is inviting his love to come with him in the countryside, away from the complex city life. Marlowe uses a very simple language and images which relate to the theme. Some of these images were too idle, which connects with the idea of utopia and the imaginative words, which some critics thought it might be America.
Okay, good. So I think you are mixing between the between the two themes, and whenever you want to criticize, I advise you to stick to one theme. Okay? Again, if you say the poem is part of the pastoral poetry, which celebrates the simplicity of the rural life, contrasted to the complexity of the city life. Okay? So this could be easier. Yes, Jihan? The last one?
Okay. It's really short. Marlowe's The Passionate Shepherd to His Love captures one of the most recurrent themes in Elizabethan discourse, as the lovely images from his pastoral from the pastoral life that he packed his poem with definitely function so as to incite the woman to nature and to promote it, grabbing the reader away from the city's concerns and chaos.
Yeah, this is very sophisticated, you know, and very eloquent, you know. She mentions talking about the, you know, him, like how he, you know, like he wanted to talk about a recurrent theme, a theme which was repeated again and again in the Elizabethan time. Okay, I don't know, when we approach like Raleigh, we might not find this poem as beautiful as it is. It might be different. So let's see and wait for next time to see Raleigh and who's winner? Who's going to win? Raleigh or Marlowe? Yeah, I think Raleigh was, you know, expeditioner himself, but Marlowe won. I bet Marlowe won, not Raleigh. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much, and see you next time.